to set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Action!
What do we do here on the weekends, my fellow film buffers, my AKAPaders? Welcome back. You know me, Peter A. DeLuca, aka Pad. On the weekends, we emulate what it was like to wake up in your pajamas, have cartoons already running, because you were never quite up early enough to catch the cartoons. They were just always running when you woke up on the weekends. Got yourself some cereal. Maybe there was a toy in there. I believe toys are coming back in cereal. But the boxes, though, too. Incredible artwork. Brightly colored. I love the contrast. Activities on the back. You would sometimes cut out a Tony the Tiger mask. Always butchering it. But there were things to do. There were puzzles and word searches and quizzes. But you would just sit down and be in like a sugar rush haze. And when those cartoons rain out, usually around 10:30, 11 o'clock, you would have to go outside, do something. You have to harass your friend's parents. You would have to do whatever you could to get out of the house, because by that point, everyone was sick of seeing you staring in front of the TV. And that ritual of the 80s, of the 90s, it died in the 2000s with things like Nicktoons, and it died with the Cartoon Network, and now with streaming, the access is just, we can watch cartoons whenever we want. That's what we emulate here on the weekends. We do animation, we do cartoons. Stranger Things Tales from 85. I couldn't wait for this thing to drop. I didn't realize it was coming this early. It dropped on Thursday. I spun my head. My fiance and I, the absolute love of my life, she loves Stranger Things. We watched season 1 all the way through. I was surprised that it was as long as it was. It was 10 episodes. I'm thinking 10 episodes are going to be 10 like Monster of the Week installments, and it just begins incredibly with this like crawling snow creature, and then we get the tropes, right? So if we walk into the writer's room with Stranger Things, we have like a board. It's when it comes to the visual, like art direction. But you kind of have a board, and you're like, these are our tropes. And the critics of the world, the people who want to sit on their high horse and tell you what's good and what's not, they always like to tell you that tropes are bad. I don't even know the character's name. There is... Holy crap. What an amazing name. Nikki Baxter. Soon as we see Nikki Baxter in the school hallway in Stranger Things, and we open with a trope. We open with, the soundtrack. 80s pop rock, or 80s rock, right? I think all of 80s music is pop. The kids, they're grabbing everything they need. They're filling up their bag. They're calling each other. The walkie-talkie trope of Stranger Things. So, if you see where I'm kind of leading you guys, see, a lot of the tropes that we define the series by become the definition of the series. Recently, we did a discussion on Crime 101. Chris Hemsworth, Halle Berry, Nick Nolte, baby. That movie is filled with tropes. It makes the movie better. Alien Resurrection is a movie filled with tropes. The tropes make the movie better. Because sometimes I like a little bit of a lantern hung in front of me to know what to expect, to feel a little bit of what's familiar, to get it pumping through my veins. This is something I know. But then to be taken on a adventure. The releasing of tropes for something like Star Trek and everything that Paramount's been doing. And I give a lot of credit to Paramount for swinging for the fences and trying. I think there's more that they were attempting than what landed. But same for Marvel. It's same for DC. It's there's Star Wars as well. I mean, people will label these big franchises as failures at this point, but to me, they're wrestling with some of the tropes. We like it when the tropes are kind of right laid out the right way, maybe in the right pattern. It's a tough thing to decipher. So in the beginning, we get the walkie-talkie stuff. I love the walkie-talkie stuff in anything Stranger Things, but we have to thank Eric Robles, uh, which had a very animation sounding name. Roybles, Eric Roybles, and Jennifer Muro developed. These are our developers. The showrunner is Eric Roybles. Jennifer, highly decorated writer. She, in a way, when it comes to Hollywood or studios or production, we can maybe call her a writer's writer. Her accolades and her what she has behind her already is of note. Eric Roybles, equal. The guy has spent some time in animation. And what we get here is the 80s music, the walkie-talkie, the introduction of Nikki Baxter, and a wild thing happening, and the kids are just trying to like shovel snow. And throughout this entire series, we get, and for some reason, it lands so much more eloquently. Oh my God, can I talk? And effectively, when we have Eleven's food humor, which again, food humor overly criticized in modern media. Eleven's food humor, a trope that I love. And then we get the entire cast of Stranger Things doing all the Stranger Things stuff. I'm thinking we're getting a monster per episode. And as soon as this first episode starts kicking and rolling, I said to myself, I maybe even said this out loud, this is what people are going to have wanted from the live action. People are now going to push back. They're going to question how come there wasn't more live action seasons? How come more of the seasons weren't maybe driven a little bit towards Monster of the Week? Dare I say, a little bit more Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where we had an overarching emotional arc, emotional lows, emotional highs, but we would get those Monster of the Week episodes and side adventures. Now, the episode orders back then, way different. What we have here is a 10-chapter saga. And it is so, I mean, AKAPADers, we have the kids running from a demon, like not demon, but it's a possessed hidden creature. Like, it's hard to, a creature pumpkin patch. The pumpkins come alive and chase the kids. That's what I'm trying to get to here. We have these highlight moments like this. These, we can, if we're watching sports, we would say posterized moments. There's a lot of the coloring of this. I mean, the art direction and the vision of it. There was a moment where we get these neon green highlights, and it's just, again, neon soaked. I love neon soaked. It's so effective. I use it so much for my own stuff. So we get a Stranger Things Tales from 1985, full of the tropes of Stranger Things, perfectly executed. This is very similar to what drove Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2, where it was repeated Star Wars tropes in the zone at the right time. A little bit like, and this is where you give credit to Eric. Picking, like, you're a little bit like a NFL coach, where you're picking the right offensive scheme at the right time versus the defensive scheme and vice versa. And a lot of times when we watch this stuff as a viewer, as an audience member, it appears like magic. It truly does. This is an absolute surprise. This is the future of the franchise. this is a template to what we can do with the comics, and the comics have some of the Dark Horse ones already there. See, the seasons of Stranger Things are so well defined and separate from each other, just meaning what they are to the previous season. One highly different than two, like, two compared to five, four compared to one. It's right, like we're dealing with a spectrum here. This puts the saga between two shades of that spectrum, two colors. A lot of the comics have done that. Some of the novels have done that. Stranger Things is today's Star Wars, where the adventure and the ideas and the characters continue in other forms and other media, and we're better for it and we're grateful for it. And yes, at one time, did we get Star Trek the Motion Picture or Star Trek the Undiscovered Country? But then did we also get Wrath of Khan and the Search for Spock? Did we also get the Next Generation from all of that? We did. This is the beginning of all of that, and I just feel as a franchise, so many people are missing the point of some of this stuff. Where you can say what you want about season 5, but Stranger Things is going to continue, and if it continues in this fashion, I will sacrifice any discomfort, even though I think that season 5, uh yeah, look, guys, I get it. Like we're kind of done with Vecna a little bit too early. That epilogue is just fantastic. It's like whenever I think of Stranger Things now, I think of that epilogue, right? But what we're seeing is the slow bleeding of a franchise. We're seeing high level storytelling here, and we have the paper to thank, or the blank computer screen, where we just need the ideas and we just need to know what we're doing. The one trope I want to get to, that I mean, I give absolutely all of the credit to Eric and Jennifer for the definition of the character of Nikki Baxter, where Nikki Baxter, all of a sudden, in like a moment, she's walking down the street. In back of her, she sees a burrowing snow shark, and she runs. She runs to get off the snow. She's got to get herself over a wall. She hits a parking lot. It doesn't help her, by the way, guys, because the shark shoots right out over the wall, over her head, and right in front of her. And then, like, amazing creature reveal. The kids fend it off, scurries away. And then from that moment on, Nikki Baxter, who we thought was going to be a antagonist, was going to be a bully. This is what Stranger Things does better now than any franchise. Period. We saw it with the overweight kid. What's his name? Daryl from season 5 is new characters. There is something special about how this series introduces new characters, and you think they're something, they become something else. So we get that swerve. But then we like the characters as much as we like. I mean, even the introduction of Mad Max somehow gets embedded. We watched the earlier seasons of Stranger Things. We're upset that Mad Max isn't there. Nikki Baxter is a live action level character. Nikki Baxter very well could be like a Harley Quinn, or what's the electricity girl from Superman the Animated Adventures? The blue electricity girl. These are characters born in animation that could hit the lexicon in the culture in live action. Nikki Baxter is as well formed of a character and lovable of a character that we've ever seen before in Stranger Things. This is where all of the credit goes to. The sprinkling of the Stranger Things nods and tropes, or member berries, even though it's too soon for member berries. The continuation of the idea of Stranger Things and Stranger Things Tales from 85 is masterful in my eyes, AKAPADers. And I love the animation style. I love the work in front of my face. I would watch season 2, no problem. Great job, just overall. Very excited for this, guys. All right. I love you. Animation weekend, guys. Rock and roll. Let's go.
Okay, that's a wrap.